Nearly 60 million Americans have been affected by identity theft. That's 1 in every 5 people. Has it happened to you? To someone you know? It's not a question of if, it's only a matter of when.
I've heard of identity theft before, but for me, I thought it was always something that fell into line with people that were doing shady things. I never thought it would be falling into line with just the common person, just doing regular things.
I had a roommate who stole my social security number and my driver's license number, and I was unaware of it. About 10 years later, a couple of police officers showed up at my door. I got arrested that day. I had to spend 3 nights in jail because of whatever it is that she had done.
I just remember shaking my head, going home, and really becoming at that point overwhelmed. What is next? What do I do next? How do I resolve this? Where do I go?
Have we reached our limit? Are we at a point where identity theft just can't get any worse? I don't think we're even close.
Think you aren't at risk? Think again. Identity thieves do not discriminate, and they are becoming more and more sophisticated when it comes to stealing your information. Everyone is a target, even children. In fact, 1.3 million children's records are stolen every year.
One of the blooming ways of gaining access to fresh individuals that haven't yet been compromised is to steal the credentials of infants, newborns, so that you can, as a thief, run up charges against an individual long before they ever go to apply for credit on their own. As a parent, it's incredibly important to protect that child's privacy.
Identity thieves are patient, and they'll wait until the time is right to take advantage of a weakness when it comes to your personal data.
I received a letter from the IRS. The letter told me that my social security number had been used for a job applicant. And I was shocked. I had heard of ID theft before, and I just thought, this is a fake letter. Okay, this can't be real from the IRS. In 2012, the state of South Carolina, where I live, all of the tax returns in the entire state, all the social security numbers were compromised. The governor of South Carolina at the time said, we're going to give you protection. And so we would get a report about every 3 months that said nothing's happened on your credit, nothing's happened on your credit. And so I was feeling, pretty confident about it. The coverage lasts for 6 years. I got my letter from the IRS on year 7. On year 7. Whoever took those numbers, this is my piece of the puzzle, has sat on them to the point that now they are out there.
It can run the gamut to the very complex, right? The folks who are cyber criminals who find weaknesses in companies' databases and they commit data breaches. People are accessing those type of information. So it's got normally your name, your address, your email address, your cell phone number, and they use that to assist them in making calls to potential victims.
And identity thieves are clever. A key contributing factor is the growing trend of data breaches. Over 50% of consumers have experienced a data breach. In 2018 alone, more than 446 million records were exposed. That's an average of over 1.2 million records exposed daily, with credit cards and social security numbers being a top target for identity thieves.
I was getting 2 calls a day for 2 weeks straight from this number, and I'm thinking it's just a telemarketer. But I finally picked it up, and when I picked it up, they said, this is the Social Security Department. You're on a recorded line with the Better Business Bureau. And they started off by basically identifying me as a person. And they said, you live on this street at this address in this state. And the fact that they said that, all these things that they knew about me just grabbed my attention. And it made me think, okay, so this is the Social Security Department, or whatever department they're claiming to be. The fact that they know where we live, they even knew that I had a family. That's extremely violating to me, and you feel very, like someone's watching you to some degree.
One of the burgeoning crimes that we're seeing now is there are people who may not have medical insurance, but they have a medical condition. So oftentimes they will look to steal an identity, go to a doctor, go to a hospital, have medical procedures done, and they're doing that all in the name of the victim. The implications are extremely scary.
I was a victim of identity theft several years ago when I went to apply for a car loan at the local dealership in New York City. Our loan was refused and we were turned down. It was one of those shocking things because I knew I had good credit. And what was very disturbing was someone had used my identity, my social security number, to create their own identity. And we were left in awe, sitting at the dealership, wondering how could this happen to us? We were in absolute disbelief. I was declared deceased. I had to prove that I was well and alive. So I had to do a lot of work in order to determine and declare that I was alive. I needed to go to the doctor. I needed to get statements certified. And we were getting overwhelmed. We were feeling like this had a rabbit hole effect, that we were not going to be able to resolve this as swiftly and as economically as we had hoped.
Your identity equals money for thieves, and it's up to you to protect it. But you don't have to fight the battle alone. ID Seal can help you. ID Seal is backed by cutting-edge technology and experts with decades of cybersecurity experience. These experts at ID Seal have one mission: protecting what's yours, your identity. We do this by educating, empowering, and protecting consumers to minimize their chances of becoming victims. ID Seal was founded on the principle of helping people just like you. Your identity is your life. ID Seal provides peace of mind for you and your family. At ID Seal, we pride ourselves on knowing everything there is to know about cybersecurity, helping to ensure we are always one step ahead of the bad guys. We combine that knowledge with the most thorough and innovative technology currently available in the industry. Our surveillance eye goes to the depths of the dark web. It monitors everything from social security numbers to medical IDs, social media accounts, and more. If ID Seal detects that someone has attempted to steal your identity, you will be notified immediately so that you can react quickly. Our identity care specialists are available 24/7 and will work to help resolve the issue so that you can have peace of mind. With ID Seal, you get identity fraud expense reimbursement insurance coverage up to $1 million, and we provide reimbursement to you with a $0 deductible for any incurred expenses as part of your identity theft recovery.
So we've become a very public nation, right, and public world as far as how it comes to social media. It's just the implications of laying all of our personal lives, all of our personal information out there for the entire world to see. Criminals want that. They want to take advantage.
If I would have known how to protect myself from identity theft, I would have been able to avoid this whole situation.
This was one of those moments where, looking back, I would have welcomed having an identity theft protection program.
We have to have a service that can protect people, that people can feel safe. I don't feel safe.
There's a new victim every 2 seconds. That means that while you were watching this, at least 600 people may have had their identity stolen. Don't wait until it's too late. Put your worry to rest and feel safe again with ID Seal's unparalleled protection that seals off your sensitive data from identity thieves. Give them nothing to steal with ID Seal.
You know, this is such a great service because I know most of us have heard of ID theft, you know, and maybe we've seen some late night infomercials, but I don't know how many people are really aware of how serious this is and how big of an industry this is going to become. But what is ID theft? It's very clear. If someone steals your ID and they get enough personal information about you, they can do you great, great harm. And so, you know, just to run through some of these statistics, as you saw in the video, every 2 seconds someone is a victim of identity theft. 1 in 5 Americans have been a victim of identity theft. Consumers reported, listen to this, 905 million in total fraud losses in 2017 alone. And most people don't even know that their identity is stolen. They might know as soon as 3 months and as long as 3 years on average. No one, as the video told you, no one is, the criminals don't discriminate. You know, whether it's children, whether it's the elderly, whether it is the deceased, right? Let's just talk about children. Children identity fraud will affect 25% of kids before they turn the age of 18. Now listen to this number. In 2017, families that were victims were forced to pay out of pocket $540 million in 2017. So it's a problem. It's a big problem. And here's the attitude of the world. If you're a victim of identity theft, too bad. Life is unfair. And figure it out, solve your own problems, lawyer up, do what you got to do. And that is not fair, but that is a reality. When you see the testimonials on these videos, I guarantee you, if you talk to people in this room, we met so many people over the last travels, over the last couple months, and it's just shocking to me how many people have been affected and in what ways and what they now need to do and how they need to live their life because of how they were negatively impacted. This is a very serious issue, and it's way more serious than most people even realize. And when you understand what is actually going on, and you understand how vulnerable we actually are, you start getting a little bit of anxiety if you're not protected. And the only reason people don't have that anxiety is they just simply don't know yet. They're just simply unaware of what is actually going on out there. So what kind of identity theft is going on? People think they know what it is. Oh, you got my credit card number. It's a lot more. There's all kinds of ways that people could use your identity to harm you and benefit themselves criminally. There's medical. For example, someone can use your ID to get medical coverage that you are going to be responsible for. There's tax ID theft, where someone could actually put in a false tax filing, take your refund, whether it's accurate or not, you're responsible for that. Employment, people that have bad records and they need a job, they can't get one, they'll use an ID to get a job. Everything under the sun with children. Criminals will use your ID. Let's say, for example, someone gets pulled over, they get a ticket, drunk driving, they do a criminal act, and guess what? They get arrested. They'll give them your ID, and they'll get out of it, they'll walk away, and all of a sudden you're going to be responsible to clean up the pieces. So there's all kinds of ways. If they get enough information, they can take over one of your accounts. They can drain your accounts. They can open new accounts, put credit cards in your name, loans in your name that you will ultimately be responsible for. There's synthetic ID theft where they'll use parts of your ID with other parts and create a whole new ID. They can drain estates. So there's a million ways that they can harm you if they have enough personal information about you. How do they get your information? Criminals are more sophisticated today than ever before. There's all kinds of ways they can get your ID, ways we know about, ways we don't know about. But everything from ATM overlays, I'm sure a lot of you have seen that. I saw a video online where someone was showing how someone could actually put a device over an ATM machine or something where you insert your credit card, and it looks like it's a part of the machine, but it's actually taking your information as you slide your card through it. So there's ATM overlays, there's mail theft, change of address, stolen wallet, viruses, online shopping, you're in the wrong place. For example, I was logging into American Express personally, and I must have typed in something wrong when I was logging into the address because it took me to something that looked exactly like American Express. It felt like American Express, but I looked at it and I go, this is very interesting. It's just not asking me to log in. It was asking me to put in all this private information up front before it logged me in. If you were not prepared, if you were blindsided, that's another way someone could get your information by just doing things online. There's the dark web. Some people understand what that is, some people don't. But if you look at the web, there's different layers to it. The first layer is that what we all can access. And there's other private layers where, let's say, just the government can access. And then there's the dark web that most people don't even know about and most people cannot access. And that is basically designed for criminals. That means if you were able to access the dark web, you could visit sites that look like legitimate businesses. But their products aren't the products you get from Amazon. The products are things like fake IDs, logins to breaches into accounts, just all kinds of information that they can get, social security numbers, they can buy all this stuff, and you know what? They even come with guarantees. These criminal sites actually act like they have integrity. If this doesn't work, within 30 days, you get your money back, and they actually operate that way. There's the dark web. When our information gets out there, it's being sold at a price. And then when it gets in the wrong people's hands and it gets used, guess what? We're left there to clean up the pieces. There's all kinds of scams to get your private information. Phishing is email scams. Phishing is phone scams. And the latest one we all now know is smishing, which is text scams. And guess what? A lot of us know, oh, this is another scam. This is another scam. But you know, there's a lot of people that don't. And that's why it's being so effective. And the biggest way that people are getting your private information is by breaching companies that hold your information, data breaches. So if they can break into a company and they get in there, they can get information from you in another way, even if you did everything you could to protect yourselves. As a result of data breaches, over 446 million records were exposed in 2018 alone. 14.2 million credit card numbers were exposed in 2017, and much more in 2018. There's about nearly 158 million Social Security numbers were exposed in 2017. Now, when we talk about breaching companies, we're talking about big companies, large companies, companies you would think that would be able to protect themselves. Equifax, Sony, Chase, Yahoo, Marriott, Target, these companies were breached, and many, many more that you don't know their names. And it's just to kind of give you an example, the largest breach of all time happened in 2013 with Yahoo. And when that company was breached, 3 million users' records were exposed. The financial impact was $350 million. Equifax was also, believe it or not, Equifax was breached. That was one of the biggest breaches of all time that included Social Security numbers, happened in 2017. The data impact was 148 million user records exposed. The financial impact was over $600 million. And I'll tell you something interesting. If anybody who was here at who was in Long Beach at the ASIN International Convention when we promoted our intention to go into ID theft. Well, while we were there, as we were preparing for the presentation on Saturday, the day before, Friday, so a lot of the people in the back, our employees, said, "You're not going to believe this," but it was just announced that Marriott was breached, one of the largest breaches of all time. It happened November 30th, the day before we kick-started our event in Long Beach. So we put in our presentation, but I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I mean, what timing for this to show value? But the data impact was huge. 500 million guest information were exposed, and it was the first time that not only did it include email addresses and mail addresses, it included people's passport numbers. Now think how exposed you start feeling. And you know what? I'll tell you something really ironic. Yesterday, another breach the day before I get up here. Verification, you may not know the company, Verifications.io, happened yesterday. Ready for this? Almost 1 billion people's personal data was breached yesterday. Data such as email addresses, name, gender, date of birth, employer, details of people's social media accounts, and even much, much more. Verifications had to take their site down because of the breach yesterday. You can't even get to their site right now. Now think about that. When that information gets out there, it is exposed. Have you been exposed? Have you been exposed? The answer to that question is you don't know. We don't know who's got our information. We don't know if it's out there yet. And just to really drive this home, you guys, when we talk about all the different ways you get breached, one of the ways is medical ID. So just to try to help you understand this, I want to play a commercial for you. This is actually not a commercial, I'm sorry, an actual news piece that was done about 30 days ago-ish. And I want you to see this. This will also help you understand how people get information and what they do with it. So we're going to roll that right now. So think about this. How many of you right now, regardless of how much you think about this, feel just a little more vulnerable just at this point, right? And let me tell you something. The more you learn and the more you understand, the more vulnerable you will feel. And the only people out there today that don't have ID theft protection is because either A, they're unaware, or B, they're the criminals stealing our ID, okay? But let's talk about this. How many of you can clearly see there is an absolute need for this service? Are we all on the same page there, okay? So there is an absolute need for this service, and what's so exciting, so when there's a need, it creates opportunity. Now, I don't like to be a negative person. Like when I was in my early 20s, I tried to do the life insurance business, and I really didn't enjoy it because I didn't enjoy talking about people dying, right? Here, insure your life. So I don't like to be a negative person, but I love to get excited about opportunity. Who's excited about opportunity? Okay? Now, when I say opportunity, the opportunity we have here is unlike any other service we've ever had, because ever since we started ACN, when we launched a new service, everybody was already using it, because that's what we've always said. We market things everyone already has, already used, but now we have to add one more thing, or they're going to use. Because if you think about every one of us today, we all have car insurance, we all have health insurance, We all have life insurance. We insure our homes. And if you think about how much we spend for this insurance and how little we actually use it relative to how much we spend, yet we all do it. Now, how many of you guys agree that what's more important, a car or your personal identity? What's more important? Your personal identity. And how few times do people's cars get broken into or stolen versus how often can someone's ID be compromised? I was personally shocked in the first quarter of this year when we were traveling across the U.S., myself and Greg, we were talking about it, and Mike Kane. I didn't really know how many people were affected. And then all of a sudden I started meeting people and they were mentioned, oh yeah, this happened to me, and I go, you gotta be kidding me. And I'm realizing that every time you do a presentation, probably 30% of the guests in the room could be testimonials of the power of having ID theft protection. As a matter of fact, just for a show of hands, if I could just see all your hands, anyone in this room who has been negatively affected in some way by ID theft, you've been compromised in some way, please raise your hand really high, turn up the lights, and I would like everyone to look around. Turn it up really high and look around, everyone. Look at this. It is major compared to anything we've ever done before. So is there a need, yes or no? Absolutely. But here's the exciting part. We have an opportunity like we've never had before. This service is the first service we've had that a very small percentage of the population is even using it. So let me give you an example. Today, who are the players in the industry? And I think most of you, if you watch television at all, you'll see some late night infomercials with LifeLock. So if you look at this pie graph right here, if you kind of look at all the people that currently do use ID theft, there's approximately 80 plus companies. LifeLock has the largest share of the market today, which is about 24%-ish, 24 to 30%-ish of the market of the people that are using it. The next largest company is Intersection. They have about 6% of the market. And the rest of the customers are spread out between about 80 companies. Now, let me tell you what we're excited about. We're excited because we're going to make history in this marketplace. And here's why. Because it's always been proven that any type of media advertising is good and effective and powerful by bringing brand awareness. But we also know that very few times does anybody ever jump off the couch just because they saw an ad, just because they saw an infomercial and said, I need to have that right now and I'm going to run and sign up. They don't do that. So why are we going to make an impact? Because we're not worried about the competition. We are the competition. There's nothing more powerful than an independent business owner taking a message directly to another human being. We are going to acquire more customers than any of these other companies. Our name will be the name that people will think about when it comes to ID theft protection, ID Seal. We are the future of this industry. But let me talk about opportunity. We've always said to our IBOs, they said, so who should I go after? We always say, look at the biggest companies in the market and we target them. We price ourselves against them, okay? But more importantly, let's take a look at the market. What I just showed you was 16 million people that are currently even aware or using ID theft. Now, this is not to scale. The reason I say it's not to scale because 16 million to 125, that little teeny pie, we just want to see some color, gets even smaller. That means when you're going out and getting customers, that little teeny pie represents just competing against somebody else, but that green area is every other person that doesn't even have a service. ID Seal will be the first time they get an identity theft. So to me, that's an opportunity like we have never seen in ACN. There's 125 million potential customers out there in the United States. How many of you plan on getting the majority of them? The identity theft market, we know we are so early in this space. For the first time in ACN's history, we are so early in this space. This industry is poised for incredible growth. They expect it to grow to $24 billion by 2025. How much of that is going to be all of yours out there? Now let's talk about ID Seal. ID Seal, our product, we are going to be using industry-leading technology that a lot of the other ID theft company uses and proprietary technology that they do not use. We are going to be offering one of the most robust plans out there today. So if you compare what we have against any competition, we are going to be offering more than they're going to be offering. 24/7 world-class member support and a secure member portal. You'll be able to download the Apple and Android app, which I'll talk about in a second. So after you sign up, you can put an app on your phone, and that's how you can monitor yourself and get alerts and different things like that. There's going to be 2 plans available that you're going to be offering to customers. One is the Platinum plan. It's just a single adult, and it's Platinum $28.99. We are not going to be offering any low-end plans. Some people say, oh, well, this company offers something for $10 or $9, or this bank gives you something for free. Yeah, that's great. If somebody wants to do that, let them do that. We are not playing in that space. We are only going to market a robust plan that really totally protects the person that's out there today. Okay? So it's $28.99 a month for the Platinum plan, and that's for an adult. So if there's a husband and wife in a household, each of them are adults, they would have their own plan. And so our family plan can enroll the kids under one of the adults. So if you go into someone's household, the husband can be a customer, the wife can be a customer. If the wife would like the Platinum Plus, she can put all the children under her account, and that's up to 10 children included in the Platinum Plus plan, and that's only $34.99 to add the children. Now, how it's going to work, it's real simple. This is going to be the simplest service that you have ever offered in the history of ACN when it comes to acquiring customers. The customer simply enrolls. When they're done enrolling, now IDC will monitor their ID, and if anything comes up, they will alert the customer. And if there is an issue where anybody's information or their ID was compromised, they will work with them to resolve it. And as you saw in the video, there's up to $1 million in reimbursement for any charges that come to a customer to fix their situation. So let me play a quick video for you guys. This is an ID Seal video that you guys, again, will be available to you to show people how it actually works. So let's roll it.
In today's world, everything moves faster. And because we are always connected, we shouldn't be concerned about being completely exposed to identity theft. ID Seal makes getting identity theft protection service fast and easy. Here's how it works. 1. Enroll. Simply sign up to get identity theft protection for you and your family. Choose a plan that best suits your household, and in a matter of minutes, you're protected. 2. Monitor and alert. ID Seal continuously monitors your personal information, and with industry-leading technology, alerts you to a wide range of potential threats to your identity. As part of our digital spy feature, ID Seal can detect stolen personal data on more than 600,000 dark web pages, file sharing sources, black market forums, and more. 3. Resolve. If ID Seal detects that your identity has been compromised or stolen, you will be notified immediately so that you can react quickly. Our identity care specialists will work to help resolve the issue so that you can have peace of mind. 4. Reimburse. All ID Seal plans include identity fraud expense reimbursement insurance coverage of up to $1 million and provide reimbursement to you with a $0 deductible for expenses if incurred as part of your identity theft recovery. It's that simple. And with ID Seal, you always get more. All ID Seal plans include lost wallet protection. ID Seal will help cancel or replace credit cards, licenses, and other contents of your wallet. 24/7 member support. US-based identity care specialists who can assist you day or night. Free iPhone and Android apps. Simply download the app to receive alerts and get notifications on the go. Fast, easy, informative. That's ID Seal. Because always connected shouldn't mean always at risk. Give them nothing to steal with ID Seal.
Who's getting excited? It's kind of like a calm excitement. Kind of nervous, but excited, right? So with ID Seal, when you sign up for the Platinum Plus plan, I'm not going to go through every one of these things here. Every one of you need to take time to see all the coverage, but just to kind of highlight some of the stuff, it's stuff you've heard before, like credit monitoring, credit reports, scores from 3 credit bureaus, Social Security, email, credit cards, bank accounts, all being monitored, your credit score tracker and simulator, digital spy, dark web monitoring up to 10 emails, phone numbers, credit, debit cards, passport, driver's license, medical ID cards, sex offender monitoring, Social media monitoring, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, 24/7 lost wallet protection. What is that? As a matter of fact, James Adlam came up to me yesterday, and one of his IBOs in his team said, "You're not going to believe this, but yesterday his wallet got stolen, but he just slightly after he signed up for ID Seal." He was like, "What do? I don't have all the numbers of my credit cards to call and cancel this." Wait a minute. He's an ID Seal customer. He just simply called ID Seal, and they handled everything for them. That happened yesterday. And then obviously the 1 million identity theft coverage insurance. The Platinum Plus is everything I just mentioned, including for the children, child social security number tracker, a child email monitoring, a child digital spy dark web monitoring, child social security monitoring, social network monitoring, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and also the $1 million coverage per child. Now let's talk about the sign-up process. This is where I'm getting excited because everything comes down to the experience of signing up for the service. And out of every service we've ever offered since the day we launched ACN, by far, this is going to be the simplest service to sign up for. And just to prove it to myself, we were obviously doing last-minute testing all week before we launched this product. And I mentioned this yesterday morning at the leadership meeting. But we were doing meetings on Wednesday. We opened it up in between testing because I wanted to become a customer. So I wanted to feel the experience. So the first thing I did was just become a customer myself. I did everything. And I was able to do it within less than 5 minutes, everything. But when I say everything, I did all 3 of these steps. I enrolled, I authenticated, and I also added all my personal information. I had all that stuff with me or I could access it. And I'll tell you the first thing that I felt. Number one, I was like, this is so unbelievably simple. I was like kind of jumping out of my chair a little bit, because I know what that means. I know that simplicity equals momentum. So that's the first feeling I had. The second feeling I had was after I was done inputting all my information, and if anyone hasn't experienced it, just remember I said this and tell me if you feel the same way. When I put my passport number in my credit cards, in my bank accounts, and all the things in there that now I knew were going to be monitored and protected, the second I did that, I felt secure. I felt like a little more protected and a feeling like, the only way I can explain it is people hate to buy typically. Like I don't want to buy, I don't want to spend. They hate to buy, but they love to own. Once someone has something, it's a totally different feeling. And that was the feeling I had that I cannot explain. I was like, this feels good. I feel like I'm protected. I felt secure. Why am I telling you this? Because simplicity in signing up a customer is going to help you create momentum like you've never thought before. But what the other part creates is a loyalty, a long-term customer, longer than probably any service you've ever had on the books in your team, anytime, anywhere. Loyalty, long-term, means residuals that grow for a very, very, very long time. Does that make sense, you guys? And that you're going to experience that as well. When you sign up a customer, it's going to be 2 points per customer. I'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. 2 points per customer. That means if you go into a home where one person lives, they sign up, 2 points, 1 customer. If it's a husband and wife, that's 2 customers. That's 4 points, 2 customers, 2 services. So think about that. You can generate a lot of revenue out of a single household, and it's simple. Now, there's 3 steps. Step 1 is you will go to your online store. You will click services. You will click ID theft, and then you can see where you can enroll. All right? It's very simple. I'm going to cover that in a second. Step 2 is authentication. That means that after you've signed up, you go back in, you log back in, and they ask some simple questions, some personal information about you and some simple questions, your social security number, just to prove that you are you. Authentication. And the third step is entering all of your personal information that you want monitored. So when a customer signs up on the spot, they can easily enroll, authenticate on the spot, but they may need to log back in when they get home to start entering all the information. They may not have their bank account number with them or maybe some credit cards at home that they don't have with them, so they can log back in at any time, as many times they want, to add all the information that they want to enter into the system so ID Seal can monitor the. Does everybody understand all that? Okay, so let's talk about each one. Customer enrollment is very simple. Look how simple this is. Someone goes to your online store, click ID theft, click ID Seal, hit enroll. You go in there, it's simple. Just your name, your phone number, unique email address. Say unique. Say it louder. Say email. Say address. Okay, why did I highlight that? Because you cannot use an email address twice. Each customer has to have their own email. So if somebody thinks, oh, I'm going to put all my kids in there and I'll just make it simple for myself and put my own, no. Each customer has to have their own email address, okay? So that's one thing you just need to know. And in this process, you will simply create your password for the portal, you'll put your address and your payment information. Okay, once you do that, congratulations, you're signed up. It takes just minutes and it's simple, you're done.